Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial. Today I wanted to talk on a subject of DHCP Failover. Let's check what Microsoft has to say about DHCP Failover feature. So the DHCP server failover feature provides the availability to have two DHCP servers provide IP addresses and option configuration to the same subnet or scope, providing for continuous availability of DHCP servers to clients. The two DHCP servers replicate lease information between them, allowing one server to assume responsibility for servicing of clients for the entire subnet when the other server is unavailable. It is also possible to configure a failover in a load balancing configuration with client requests distributed between the two servers in a failover relationship. Okay, so I have, of course, my domain controller, and I have another server that is hosting DHCP and SUSE as well. So on this one, that is my main DHCP server, I'm gonna configure the failover feature. So first of all, we will need to install DHCP here. So we're gonna go to roles and features, gonna install DHCP. And until it's done, we're gonna go back. I have here my workstation that is gonna be serving for us for today's test. If DHCP failover is gonna be working well. So let's go to our main DHCP. So you always begin with the configuration from your main DHCP server, because this is the first server, and the second one on my domain controller is gonna be the backup server, the backup DHCP server. So when this one goes down, we're gonna configure it that the other one on the DC01 is gonna be hosting the majority of IP addresses. Okay, so let's check. First of all, we got the scope prepared, we got the scope options prepared here. I got also the lease for the workstation that is working right now. So this is my address pool, as you can see, just a test address pool. Not many addresses between them, only 5. Okay, let's check how the install is proceeding. It's almost finished. So how can you start with configuration of a failover? Of course, you need to go to the properties, and you can see that in properties you have some additional features here, and you have the failover feature that you can use once everything is configured. Okay, so I'm just gonna here automatically update statistics every 10 minutes for this DHCP, and now we can configure our failover. So if you have more scopes available, I have only one scope created, but if you're gonna have more scopes than one, you will need to choose the scope that you actually want from here. Well, I got only one, so I'm gonna choose this one. And now we're gonna choose the partner server that is gonna be our backup server. So the one on DC01 that is now being installed. so I need to wait a little bit longer until it finishes. Quick check here. So the workstation is a part of the main. It has an IP address from the lease, the first address from the lease, that is 200. And well, in a moment we will be able to add another server. So when you choose the option add a server, you can either choose the server from here. It's gonna be you'll be able to choose it from here, or it will appear here as a second DHCP server in your network. Okay, so this one is finished. We're just gonna complete the configuration, commit, close, and I think everything is fine. Just a quick restart. So let's cancel this. I'm gonna start once again. Of course, choosing my scope. Let's see. Add a server. We don't have any servers here besides my main server. So I'm just gonna search for the other DHCP server here. Right now, I know it's on this server because this is my domain controller. So I'm just gonna add it like this. So we have an issue with time, so we need time synchronization here. So we're gonna check what's the time synchronization. So as you can see, we are synchronized with the local clock here. We cannot be synchronized with a local clock. And we are off in precision by -23. So let's check our domain controller. Let's check the configuration. Okay. Now we're gonna see. So let's do it. Let's stop. I'm gonna stop the time service. I'm gonna start it again. Now we're gonna synchronize. The same we're gonna do here. So it's gonna needs to be with administrator privileges. I'm gonna check what do I have here. Okay, so I guess this still sees that the time difference is too big here. So let's try to restart everything once again. Okay, let's go to DHCP. Check the server. It's fine. Let's check the time. So it's still in seamless clock. Okay, let's do. Now I'm gonna start. After that, we're gonna do the synchronization, and everything seems fine right now. So we're gonna do query status, and we are synchronized with our domain controller, and this is our interval. Okay. So going back to our failover, of course, after the time is set, now we can configure everything. So I'm gonna configure failover. We're choosing our scope. We're gonna add the server. Now we have both servers. When the time is configured the right way, I can just choose the other server as the partner server. And now the most important thing, this is the relationship name that is going to be distinguished. Thanks to this, you're going to distinguish which server is the main server and which one is the backup server. So the first one is the main server for your leases, and then this is the backup server. Of course, you can change the name to a shorter one. I usually leave it as that. Next thing, maximum client lead time. Okay, so if you leave it about an hour, if you have hot standby configured in this mode, means that the other server, that is your backup server, is gonna kick in because it's on standby, so it's waiting all the time. And here is also standby. we're gonna change this to active, and this is the amount of the percentage of addresses that are going to be distributed by the other backup server. So we're going to change this to 50%, and I'm going to leave this on standby, but it's going to be an active standby. So when the main DHCP goes down, this backup DHCP is going to kick in, but after an hour. So we don't want an hour, that's too long. So I'm just gonna change this to 1 minute. And this is gonna be a state switch over interval, which I'm gonna also change to 1 minute. I'm gonna disable this authentication because I don't need it. Of course, in production, you should change this to about 5 minutes, 5 minutes tops. Okay, so, but I want this to happen almost instantly, so when my main DHCP goes down, I want my backup DHCP to start sending recess immediately after 1 minute. So there won't be any problems with the internet connection on my workstations. And this is the whole thing that is configured. So we configured the failover. Now what we need to do is we're gonna replicate failover scopes. So the other DHCP that I have installed on this computer doesn't have any scopes. Oh, there you go. I guess it replicated already. Okay, because before if I didn't create the failover, it wouldn't replicate the same thing, but it already did. But in case if you haven't had this scope here, if you went to the IPv4 and you don't have the scope, you can always go to the main DHCP and you can do replicate failover scopes. So it will basically replicate all of the settings done here on your main DHCP configuration to the other DHCP on another server. Okay, so everything has been duplicated, so we can begin testing. Of course, if you want to edit failover, you can always go to properties. I'm gonna change this. You have failover here, so these are the failover configuration steps that you have done. You can edit them. So you can go here, you can change whatever you would like to. You can change the switchover interval, maximum read time. You can change from hot standby to load balancing. Yeah, so everything is you can configure again if you would like to. If you think that hot standby is not the mode that you would like to use, you can always change to load balancing depending on your structure. Yeah, okay, so subnet structure, I should say. Okay, so at the moment, the state of the server of my of this server is normal, right? Partner server is fine. Mode hot standby, fine. So everything is fine. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna just close this main DHCP server. We're gonna open this because this is my workstation. and I'm gonna do ipconfig release. So I'm gonna release the lease. I don't have anything here, so no internet connection. Let's go to the other DHCP. So if we go here, we're gonna do the properties. Now change this. As you can see, even the icon has changed. If you go to failover, you can see the state of your main DHCP, and it says partner is down. So basically it means that the other server is down and it's not sending DHCP leases, IP addresses anymore. So since my failover was configured to give IP addresses in 1 minute after this one is down, so let's see what happens here if now I'm gonna do ipconfig renew. So I will renew the lease. So I got the lease again, of course, the same as I had, because in my original DHCP I had a reservation made for this computer, so it was in reservations. And because we replicated everything from our main server, it also replicated all the configuration and all the stuff that was done in the leases. So everything works like it should. Our main server is down, but our partner server picked up immediately and sent us the correct lease for our workstation from the reservation configuration that was made previously. Okay, so basically this is a failover, pretty easy to set up. I suggest having it, of course, in your infrastructure, because it's good to have something that will just keep you safe in case something happens to your main DHCP server. Okay, so if you liked the video, like, subscribe, and of course, if you feel like being a supporter, you can always go for it. Okay, so I will see you in a next video. Thanks.